Hola, hola, bienvenidos a todos for our first Young Adult Cafecito. Mi nombre es Daniela y soy la Community Outreach Assistant in Hispanic Federation Florida. And we're here to talk about all things voting today. So, what motivates us, why it's important, and why we're not doing more of it. So, I'm here with Giancarlo from Youth Action Fund, the first advocacy group made by Gen Z and for Gen Z. So, Giancarlo, thank you for being with us today and tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, Dani, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Giancarlo. I'm with Youth Action Fund. We're an advocacy group that gives resources and trainings to young people right here in Florida and teach them how to get involved in their community. I'm Ecuadorian and I'm Dominican. I grew up in Orlando my whole life. And yeah, this conversation is super important and I'm excited with you, Dani. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. So everyone grab your cafecitos or whatever drink you like and let's get started.
So, we wanted to get real with y'all today and talk about something that's been on our minds. Why are we only voting for president? Popping in every 4 years like it's a World Cup final or something?
Or not voting at all. Your everyday life is shaped way more by local politics than you think. So, president or governor, your governor is going to make more of an impact on your everyday life. So,
And for some reason, we're still not tapping in. So I wanted to tell you guys about my first time voting. I didn't even know what a ballot looked like until the moment I stepped into that box. So we don't want the same for you. So we're here to teach you some things.
Yeah, so Danny, first let's hear some of the reasons, personal or not, that we think people aren't voting. Is it because of time, confusion, not feeling represented? No shame at all. This is a judgment-free zone. This conversation that we're having is para aprender, not para regañar.
So personally, one of the reasons I think people are not voting is because sometimes they don't even know what they're voting for. When it comes to local and state elections, a lot of people don't even know what their candidates are, what they stand for, or even that there's elections in the first place. When we don't show up, other people do, and other people make the decisions for us. And sometimes it doesn't align with what we want. So if we want better schools, better places for our community, and better transportation, then you have to vote. Así de fácil. State level and at our local level, we're the ones that are affecting our rent, our student loans, our job opportunities, and everything in between. So when we don't show up, other voters do. And decisions get made without us, sometimes decisions that we might not like. So if you want our leaders to care about the climate crisis, to care about our student debt and queer rights, then te toca votar, period.
For real. Yeah, if we can line up for Bad Bunny tickets, we can line up to the polls. Let's bring the same energy, por favor, mi gente.
For real. So Giancarlo, can you actually tell us some of the elections we have in our local area that are coming up?
Yeah, of course, Danny, no problem. Yeah, so here in Orlando, we have a bunch of local elections coming up. So we have some special elections for the state senate in District 15 and the state house in District 40. Both of these elections are in September. After that, we have City of Orlando elections. This is for the city commission. So it's going to be District 1, 3, and 5 in November. And so it kind of goes to show, right, that even in a year like 2025 where we don't have a big election, there's still these really crucial elections with people who decide, right, on issues like housing, transportation, environment, being up for grabs in 2025. And also in 2026, that's when we have our next big election, which is the midterms. We don't vote for president, but we vote for things like Congress, and like all these local elections happen at the same time. So very important to get tapped in, right, to what's going on.
very true. Yeah, lots of things happening even on off year. So, and another thing, if you don't know what district you are, you're hearing us talking about District 40, District 15, all these districts. Don't you worry, no te preocupes. You can find all this information on your supervisor of election website. Whether you're Orange County or any other county, you can look up your district maps and it'll tell you what elections are in your area and who can participate.
Yeah, it's super important to remember cuando hablamos de votar. There's so many people in our communities who want to vote, but they can't. Nuestros padres, hermanos, vecinos, amigos, so many people for whatever reason. And these are the same people that, might be working 2 jobs, raising a family, paying taxes, constantly showing up, and they don't even get a say in who makes decisions that affect their lives every single day. So, if you have the right to vote, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for them too and for your community.
That's so true, Giancarlo. Thank you so much for bringing that up because especially as Latinas, a lot of our family came here for us to have a better life. And the way to do that is to vote for it. And, because while so many people wish that they could have that right to vote, a lot of us just are simply letting it go to waste because of rumor or chisme or things they hear on the street that might not be true. So I actually wanted to talk about some of those things and bust some myths, some voting myths. So primero que todo, let's talk about the one I hear all the time, which is my one vote won't make a difference. Have you heard that all the time? Everyone talks about their vote not making a difference, but guess what? That is not true. Especially in local elections that we're having, where so little people unfortunately turn out. A couple votes can change the entire decision. Especially, I don't know if you've heard about this one guy in Washington who won his election by one single vote.
What?
So that excuse, I'm not buying it. It's not true. Every vote counts. Other than that, I've heard a lot of people say, only voting for president is important, which is also completely not true. Because as we said, even on off years like 2025, 2026, there's elections happening anyways in your state, in your local community. Stuff that if you wait 4 years for another president to be elected, things are going to be changed already and decisions are going to be made without. And we don't want that to happen. So we should treat every election as important as we treat the presidential election. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, 100%, Dani. And like what you said, like I feel like I've heard those things a lot, and there's some things too that I've kind of heard some people say as well, right? Like something that a lot of people I know say is I'm not informed enough to vote. And the thing is, right, like no one is born knowing how to vote or like what a ballot looks like.
Yep.
And that's why organizations like ours are here, right? Is a lot of people who say I'm not informed enough to vote. But the thing is that no one is born knowing how to vote or what a ballot looks like, right? And that's why organizations like ours exist, right? You don't have to be an expert, just passionate about making change in your community. They're easy to guides and resources, sample ballots and organizations, right? Like Minds, European Fund, and Hispanic Federation that really help break down the ballot sin complicaciones, right? Something else that I hear too is that it's too hard and that, I don't have the time. But the truth is, honestly, it's easier than you think, right? You can register online and even vote by mail. And that really helps too because you avoid the election day lines, right? Which can be really long, right? So sometimes, right, we can spend more time like doing other things, being on social media, right? But voting can take just as long, but if not faster, right? Te lo juro.
So let's say some of you guys are already voting. That is great. But guess what? There is more to do. Democracy does not stop at voting. So there's a lot of other ways that you can get involved. Porque voting, like I said, is only the first way to get involved, but civic engagement goes far beyond that. So should we talk some ways to get involved beyond the ballot box?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so one of the ways that you can actually get involved in your community is by running your own campaign, right? Or, running on the issues that you care about. There's so many of us out here that are directly affected by the policies in Florida. And, enough is enough, right? You can do something about it, right? By running your own campaign. Us and Youth Action Fund, we have a program called the Sparks program. And basically, if you're a young person, you can apply and we give you all the resources so that you can advocate for your community, right? So, you can do things like protect your community by hosting Know Your Rights workshops, fighting against police agreements with ICE, right? Actually, in Orange County, we just got rid of our agreement with ICE.
Nice.
The change is possible. It took a lot of people, organizing to do that.
Community.
Exactly. And, other things too, right? Even registering your peers to vote. You would be surprised, right? Some people who they might know a lot about like what's going on in the world, but they might not even be registered to vote. So important to have the conversation. So yeah. And something too in Youth Action Fund we do, right? We actually can give you $4,000 in funding to make, your vision a reality.
$4,000?
Yeah, I'm saying, right? So yeah, there's definitely organizations like ours that, support young people.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Especially being young people ourselves, it's awesome to know that our voice can really make a difference out here. So another way to make a difference and to gain experience on the whole process in general is becoming a poll worker, becoming a poll monitor, These are ways to firsthand get experience. If you need some volunteer hours, we can also get those. And more importantly, signing up to be a poll worker can give you up to $400 a day.
Oh, that's good. Nice.
You go to your polls, you get that experience, you learn what voters are really there for, to cast their ballot, to get their voice heard. And, I'm also not going to leave out that it's going to look great on your resume if you ever need that. So it'll give you firsthand experience and, like I said, show you how elections really work. So
Yeah, actually, in my first election, 2020, he was a poll worker, and it was really cool because you meet so many different people in your community, and like really about like you know what it takes to vote. So that's a really good recommend.
Yeah, I just pool monitored for my first time too, and I really enjoyed, being out there and actually knowing, what goes on behind the scenes that we might not see as actual voters.
Yeah, no, 100%. Definitely recommend poll working. I know another way, right, is, honestly volunteering with local organizations, right? You don't have to start from scratch to make a difference. There's a lot of local organizations that are actually already doing the work and they need people like you, right? It's like groups like Youth Action Fund and Hispanic Federation, but even beyond just like our organizations, right? Other organizations across Florida are hosting voter registration events, food and resource drives, school supply giveaways, knocking on doors, talking to people in the community, and even doing stuff online, right? Like, making Instagram reels and TikToks to, reach out to people in a wider audience, right? So there's something for every person, right? Any interest you have, whether it's in person or digitally, and any schedule that you have, right? So there's so many organizations out there. And you can follow organizations like us, right? Like you can follow Youth Action Fund and Hispanic Federation, right? On different platforms to keep up with organizations like ours, so that you can learn how to get involved.
Of course, of course. Giancarlo, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you all for watching us and being part of this conversation. We really just want to show you that young voices matter. There are many ways to get involved, and it's really important, especially at the state and local level when things, seem to be changing every day. So much news and information is out there. You might not know what's right, what's wrong. So yeah, we're just here to encourage you guys to spark that curiosity and getting involved in civic engagement and, always letting you know that we're here. Organizations like Youth Action Fund, like Hispanic Federation, make sure to keep up with us on our socials so you can keep up with our events, with all our information. And yeah, always make sure to tell your friends to register, to vote, and just to get involved. So thank you so much, Giancarlo.
100%. Thank you so much for having this conversation, Dani.
Bye.
See ya.